The year-end company gala was already loud when Emily Carter walked in late and stopped cold. Her name tag had been placed right next to Daniel Brooks, the quiet man the entire office treated like he was invisible. Scattered laughter rippled across the banquet tables. They all saw it as a cheap matchmaking stunt, a little entertainment, at the expense of two people no one respected. Someone whispered, "The single mom and the single dad, perfect pair." Emily stood still, jaw tight, saying nothing. But everything was about to change the moment they discovered who she really was. Emily had not wanted to come. She'd spent 11 minutes in the parking garage engine, off hands on the steering wheel, telling herself she could still drive home. No one would notice. No one ever noticed her. That was the entire point. But the email from HR had been clear. Attendance at the year-end gala was strongly encouraged, which in this company meant mandatory. Skip it, and your name ends up on a list. Emily knew how lists worked here. She knew how everything worked here more than anyone in that building suspected. So she straightened her coat, locked the car, and walked in. The ballroom on the 3rd floor of the Mercer Hotel had been decorated with silver and navy streamers, round tables draped in white cloth, a stage at the far end, with a microphone nobody had used yet. Music played from mounted speakers, something jazzy, something meant to feel elegant. It didn't. 230 employees filled the room, marketing near the bar, finance by the windows, operations scattered in between. The volume was high, the energy performative people laughing a little too hard, drinking a little too fast, pretending they all liked each other. Emily scanned for her seat assignment and found it on a display board near the entrance. Table 14. She walked over, weaving between chairs, nodding at no one. When she reached the table, she looked down at the place card to her left. Daniel Brooks. She didn't react, not outwardly. But something in her chest tightened. Daniel was already seated. He wore a dark blazer that didn't quite fit a white shirt buttoned to the collar. He sat with his hands folded on the table, looking at nothing in particular. No drink, no conversation partner. Just there, existing quietly the way he always did. Emily sat down. Within seconds, the whispers started. Oh my God, they actually put them together. Who arranged the seating? This is gold. From 3 tables away, Jessica Trent leaned into her circle and said something Emily couldn't hear, but the laughter that followed was unmistakable. It was the kind of laughter that had a target. Jessica Trent was the senior coordinator for client relations, a title that sounded important and meant almost nothing. What Jessica actually coordinated was the social hierarchy of the office. She decided who was in, who was out, whose reputation got shredded at lunch, and whose name was never mentioned at all. She was not cruel in the way that left evidence. She was cruel in the way that left everyone smiling. Next to her, Marcus Webb raised his glass and said loud enough to carry, "Hey, look, the 2 ghosts finally found each other. Maybe they'll haunt the same cubicle now." More laughter. Someone clapped. Emily said nothing. She unfolded her napkin, placed it on her lap, and picked up the menu card. The words blurred. She wasn't reading. Daniel glanced at her, once then looked away. The first course arrived a small salad with pomegranate seeds and goat cheese. Emily ate slowly, mechanically. Around them, conversation flowed in every direction, but none of it included their table. It was as if Table 14 had been sealed inside glass. Then Jessica stood up and walked over. She carried her wine glass like a prop. Her smile was wide, practiced, weaponized. "Emily, I didn't even see you come in. Love your dress." She paused. "And Daniel, wow, you actually showed up this year. That's brave." Daniel looked up. "I show up every year." "Do you?" Jessica tilted her head. "Huh. I genuinely never noticed." Marcus appeared behind her, drink in hand. "So, are you two like a thing now? Because the seating chart says yes." "We're not a thing," Emily said flatly. That's exactly what a thing would say. Marcus grinned. He looked around for validation and got it 4 or 5 people at the nearest table were watching. Amused, Jessica leaned closer to Emily, lowering her voice just enough to seem conspiratorial. Honestly, though, you two make sense. Both single, both quiet. It's kind of poetic. Please go back to your table, Emily said. Jessica raised both hands in mock surrender. Relax, it's just fun. We're all having fun. She walked away. Marcus followed, whispering something to her that made them both laugh again. Emily set down her fork. Her appetite was gone. The room felt smaller now, the walls pressing in the music too loud and too cheerful for what was happening underneath it. She stood up. "Where are you going?" Daniel asked, his voice low. "I don't know." "Out. Away from this." She didn't wait for a response. She pushed her chair back and walked toward the exit, past the bar, past the dessert station, past all the faces that either stared or deliberately looked away. She pushed through the double doors and stepped into the hallway. The air was cooler here, quieter. The carpet was dark red, the lighting dim. She leaned against the wall and pressed her fingers to her temples. Footsteps behind her. She turned. Daniel Brooks stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets. "You don't have to check on me," she said. "I'm not checking on you. I'm leaving too." They stood in silence for a moment. From inside the ballroom, muffled bass thumped through the walls. "This isn't the first time they've done this," Daniel said. Emily looked at him. "Last year, they seated Greg Harmon next to Diane from accounting. Made a slideshow about it. Called it Office Love Connection. Greg quit 2 months later." He paused. "Year before that, it was someone else. It's always someone. And nobody stops it. Nobody with power cares. And nobody without power wants to be next." Emily stared at the ballroom doors. Inside that room, 200 people were eating, drinking, and watching someone's humiliation like it was a party game. And tomorrow they'd all go back to their desks and pretend it never happened. She could leave. Walk to the elevator, cross the parking garage, drive home, and file a complaint no one would read. Or she could go back in, not because she owed anyone anything, but because walking away meant they controlled the ending. Emily had spent her entire career watching systems like this operate. She'd studied them, documented them. She knew exactly how these rooms worked, how power moved, who held it, and what happened when no one pushed back. She looked at Daniel. "I'm going back in." He studied her for a moment, as if weighing whether she meant it. "All right," he said. "Then I'll go back too." They walked through the doors together, not as a couple, not as friends. Just two people who had decided separately that they were done being the punchline. The room barely noticed their return. Would notice soon enough. The ballroom had not changed in the 10 minutes Emily and Daniel had been gone. The same silver streamers caught the same overhead light. The same jazz track looped through the speakers. The same clusters of people held the same drinks, told the same jokes, orbited the same invisible hierarchies that governed every room in this company. Nothing had shifted, except Emily. She walked back to table 14 with a stillness that hadn't been there before. Not calm exactly. Something closer to a decision that had already been made, locked and irreversible. Daniel followed a step behind, pulling out his chair without a word. They sat down, and for a brief moment no one seemed to care. That moment lasted about 40 seconds. Jessica Trent noticed first. She always noticed first. It was her particular talent, the ability to detect any change in the room's emotional weather and exploit it before anyone else could react. She nudged Marcus Webb with her elbow and tilted her chin toward table 14. Marcus looked smirked and set down his glass. The two of them crossed the floor together, not rushing, taking their time the way people do when they know the audience is already watching. Jessica stopped at the edge of the table and rested her hand on the back of an empty chair, her expression bright and theatrical, as though she were greeting old friends she hadn't seen in years. "Oh, good. You came back," Jessica said, looking directly at Emily. "We were worried.